Coming back from injury in 2010, mountain biking was the last thing on my mind, you know. I definitely wasn't thinking about enduro. I'd say I was pretty much done with racing mountain bikes, you know. People said to me, well, just ride for fun. I can't really do that. I have to be 100% if I'm going to do something, you know. I have to train and I have to give it my all. The minute I set foot back on a bike, that was it. That was pretty much me saying, right, I'm going racing again. I pretty much remember the exact kind of turning point when I made the decision to go and race enduro. We were at Val de Sol World Cup 2011. It was a gnarly enduro track. From that moment, I just really enjoyed it. It was just riding that short travel bike. The speed was a little bit slower. It was a little bit more technical, having to hop around. And from that moment, I just thought, yeah, I love riding this, and this is kind of where I want to head in the next few races and the next few years. So the Mega Avalanche is a mass start race with around 2,000 people. It's crazy. You know, I don't think there's any other words for it. Just a bike race of 2,000 people to the bottom, who can get there the fastest. Just going up for qualies of Mega Avalanche. It's pretty rough. Track's gnarly. So many riders here, if it's like 2,000 riders or something. The way Mega Avalanche works is you do your qualifying run with around 200 guys, and the fastest guys from each qualifying race go into that front line of the finals. So it's super important. You have to get a good qualifying run. You have to be on that front line of the finals. All you got to do is not make a mistake and just focus really hard, watching the tape. As soon as the tape's gone up, you know, as soon as you see that tape move, you're pedaling. The race has two paces, definitely. You know, you've got the start to the first turn, which is just 110% everything you've got. And then as soon as you know you're in front, you've basically got to ride fast, but you've got to ride smooth, and you've got to make no mistakes, and you can't break your bike. As soon as I was at that first turn, you know, I knew I kind of had it. Races like Mega Avalanche and qualifying, you're just cruising down, really, and you're probably going slower than you would in practice, just because you don't want to break your bike and you don't want to crash. Qualifying at Mega, I won my heat, but I was second overall to Nicolas Voulez. Mega Avalanche, as long as you're on that front row, does it really matter where you are? That was a total different ball game to tomorrow, you know, that was all downhill. I could sprint on the flats and then conserve on the downhill. And like, tomorrow is just solid downhill, no pedaling, and then fucking flat with a gnarly uphill. It's gonna be hard. So the morning of Mega Avalanche, you're up at 4:45 in the morning. Some basic human instincts kick in at that time in the morning.
What time is it after?
5 o'clock. It's ridiculous. This morning. In the World Cup morning. You're in the lift queue at 5:30 and you're just thinking you shouldn't be there racing a bike at that time in the morning, you know. You've got to get your game face on early, and it's tough. Holy smoke. So sitting on the start line at Mega, the nerves and the feelings that are going through you are pretty crazy, you know. I'd walked down the first 500 metres of the track, and man, I've never had such a gnarly start in all my life. It's gonna get wild. I knew that I had to be at the first turn first. I'd walked down there and I'd seen how icy it was, and I knew that whoever got there first was going to crash. Excited to get the fuck off the snow. I hate snow racing. 10 seconds before the tape lifts, I was completely focused, 110%. You've kind of got to empty your head and just completely ride off your instincts, you know, because there is no way you can plan what's going to happen. 5 seconds, the tape lifts, and everything goes out the window. Somehow made it through the carnage and the rocks and the ice, and you know, all this time you've been thinking about the start and how you're going to get out in front, and then all of a sudden you're out in front and there's 2 guys in front of you, so you're within the top 3. All of a sudden you're like, this is why it's called Enduro, you know? It just hits you. There's a limit to everybody, you know? You know, I definitely felt my limit when I got to the climb, you know, I had nothing. It's just gnarly, you know? It's Enduro racing, and it is Enduro racing. It is definitely not downhill racing. You've got to race it to experience that pain. I crossed the line and found out that Nico had pulled out with a mechanical and I was third, and when you're that worked and you're that exhausted, there's a good few seconds where you don't care about anything, you know, you're just on the handlebars.
Je savais que s'il n'y avait pas de souci mécanique, il serait devant et il a disparu et bon,
unreal.
C'est pas de chance.
You know, I'm definitely hungry to win, you know, one of these enduro races, and I feel like I can do, you know. I just need to knuckle down and to get it done. I've been racing bikes for about 15 years and it never ceases to amaze me, you know, the riding that we find and, you know, these places that we find in Europe to ride, and Alpi Bike Park is definitely one of those places. You know, every time I go to Alpi, I'm just blown away. It's so untapped. Hardly any people ride there, and there's little takeoffs everywhere, and they haven't been built. They're just natural, you know. There's bowls, there's berms, there's really fresh corners, and it flows really well. It's the stuff that has been built is built really well, and all the way down you're smiling, you know. Yeah, every time I ride there, I remember why I started riding mountain bikes, basically, you know. When you've ridden a bike for as long as I have, you ride and you live to find those good locations and those good spots. And you know, all of a sudden you stumble upon a new trail or a new set of dirt jumps, and it will click, you know, and you'll remember why you ride your bike. And it's for those moments, you know, it's for those tracks and those trails that just make you so stoked to ride. Whole kind of career, I've definitely jumped around a lot, you know. I've gone from BMX to downhill to four cross, back to BMX, and You know, now I'm riding Enduro, and I do genuinely enjoy riding different disciplines, you know, and different bikes, and trying to push myself in different areas, and I really do like revel in a new challenge and a new kind of direction, and that's definitely what keeps me fresh. I think in the next 5 years I definitely see myself still racing. I don't have any plans to give up as yet. I still really enjoy riding my bike, you know. My favourite thing in the world is just to go out in the field with G and Rach and just ride the yard and ride what's there, and I still love it as much as the day I started, you know. So until that goes away, or until something takes that away from me, then I'm going to continue to do what I love, and that's racing bikes.